Welcome to Your Questions Answered with Father Gruner. I'm John Veneri. We take your questions here. You send them to us via email, questions@thefatimacenter.com, and Father Gruner answers them, and we have discussions about them. Today we have a question about the third secret of Fatima. And this is a pretty basic question here, two-part. What is the third secret of Fatima? And why are our churchmen still keeping it secret?
Well, I think maybe the second question might answer the first question. Well, let's put it this way. If we knew what the secret is, we have certainly good ideas of what the secret is, the secret that they've not relayed to us, and people might say, well, how do you know that? Have you read it yourself? And the answer, of course, is no, I have not read it myself. However, we read people who have read it. We've heard people who've spoken about it. And one of the reasons why they keep it secret is because of the content. So we should start, I guess, deal with the contents of the third secret.
Yeah, what would the contents be, and how would we have any certitude or reasonable certitude?
Well, there's all sorts of people who have read the secret, and of course they continue to multiply in a sense. Well, we have people like the Cardinal, papal theologian Cardinal Ciappi. Cardinal Mario Luigi Ciappi died in 1996. In 1995, in a letter he wrote, he said, in the third secret, it is foretold, among other things, the great apostasy in the church begins at the top. Now, that's a very short sentence.
It's packed.
But it's packed.
It's packed.
When you hear them say the great apostasy, a theologian should know what that word means, and he's writing to, I presume, to a doctor, and so maybe this person should know what he means. But just to explain ourselves, the great apostasy, there's only one. It's mentioned in sacred scripture. The word apostasy means rebellion. So we say it another way, the great rebellion. But there's many rebellions, and we've got a history of all sorts of rebellions. No, this is a rebellion against God. And there's only one great rebellion reported in scripture against God. And Cardinal Ciappi says that the third secret talks about it. Well, that's a lot of news. We've had 2,000 years of history, we've had all these prophecies, and the secret's talking to say, this prophecy in sacred scripture is in our time. Maybe I should back up a little bit further and say, as to prove that, first of all, the third secret refers to our time. It is a prediction of the future. Because, as Lucy said in 1955, the third secret will become clearer in 1960. She said this in 1955 to Cardinal Altaviani. Why wait till 1960? Because it will become clearer. So, if it becomes clearer, now this is a deduction, it becomes clearer. Why? Because a prophecy becomes clearer as you get closer to it. So the third secret is a prophecy that becomes clear in 1960. Is it 1960? Oh, we have Cardinal Bertone trying to pretend to us that 1960 is insignificant. No, we've proven that in Chris Ferrara's book, and the Devil's Final Battle, but Chris Ferrara's book.
Also, everyone who lived through it remembers 1960 was the year.
Yes.
That it was supposed to be released.
Yes, absolutely.
The entire world was converged looking at the Vatican,
yes.
converged looking at the Vatican, and nothing happened.
Yeah, in fact, even the Blue Army had a program called 0 Hour or 0 Year, whatever, and it was focused on 1960, of course, because the secret was released in 1960. We now have Sister Lucy's own handwriting released to us, thanks to Cardinal Bertone, saying, by explicit order of Our Lady, to be released in 1960. That's there. We have the text of that. Maybe we can show that on the screen. But my point is, 1960 is crucial. So the secret becomes clearer in 1960 because it starts to be realized. And we have the end of the secret because we have the other part of the secret which tells us that in the end, my Immaculate will triumph. So we have the beginning of the secret is 1960, and the end of the secret is my Immaculate will triumph, the Holy Father will consecrate Russia. We have not had the consecration of Russia, so it's after 1960. We're in that period between, this secret talks about our time today. It's very important for people to know what it is. So that's the first thing, that's the context. Now, then we have Cardinal Ciappi saying, the great apostasy in the church is now, it's in our time, and it comes from the Vatican. That's amazing.
Because he didn't talk about great apostasy in the nations.
No.
Because the 19th century bishops were warning about the apostasy of the nations.
Yeah.
He says the apostasy in the church.
Yes, absolutely. So that alone. Now, I mean, I don't know how much time we have left on this to answer this question, but it's about the apostasy. It's also about the upper hierarchy. It's also about the fact that they're not doing their job. Because if they were doing their job, they would not.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
If they were doing their job, the apostasy wouldn't come from the Vatican.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not doing their job, and in fact, it seems that they're leading the apostasy. This is not to say everyone in the Vatican is doing it, but certainly some of them are doing it.
Yeah.
And the apostasy,
The main forces are moving us to a new orientation.
Yes.
And have moved us. There's no doubt about that.
And in fact, but we see that this is, the secret talks about this. So why will they not tell us? Because they're part of the enemy. Our Lady gives us this intelligence, so in other words, we are, every Christian, every person reading the Bible, every Catholic reading the Bible is told, blessed are you if you read the Apocalypse. It will arm you with information. But not every age, and I'm sure there's spiritual lessons in the Apocalypse for every age, but this is an age that we're living in now that is spoken of in the Bible. And now, people might say it was in some other time. We have the God the Father sending the Blessed Virgin to tell us it's our time. And to tell us it's in 1960, you should understand this. You might not have seen it before, but now you should understand it.
Yeah, because that's an old rule of interpretation too, that it's most clear for the people who live through it, understanding it. But we have to wrap this up, but let's pick it up the next program, and we'll talk more about why our churchmen are keeping it secret.
Okay.
So that's all for today, and we'll see you next time.